Hi guys, this is your host, Michaela, and today we're looking into a famous tradition here in Athens, Georgia, known as game day tailgating. I'm going to give you the gist, and then we have a guest here with us today. Luckily, I was able to drag a special friend of mine into this podcast to really give us the ins and outs of the tailgating tradition. What goes into it, what happens behind doors, all the tea. If you are not a fellow Dogs fan, essentially, game day tailgating here is a staple of the game day experience. Kickoff may not be until 7:30, but you bet we will be out on campus beginning our festivities by noon. Tailgates consist of varieties of food, more alcohol than you can ever consume, TV setups, and lawn chairs. I was lucky enough to meet Lane Parker, LP, my sophomore year of college, and she introduced me to her family in this game day experience. I have LP here with me today.
What's up, guys?
And she is really just going to give us a tell-all of her family's tailgating tradition.
Of course. First off, I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me and letting me share some of my favorite memories behind my family's tailgate.
Yes, of course. Could you give us a little backstory behind your family's tailgate, some history, things like that?
Of course. So this tailgate started way before I was born. My mom, Jackie, and her family actually started the tailgate when she was a kid. Back in the 60s, sounds about right. Anyway, her family kept this tradition alive and basically have passed on all the materials, knowledge, and skills that come along with it. My parents then took over after my papa died and my grandmother grew ill, and here we are. My parents have been responsible for about 15-ish years now, and I'd say they really had some big shoes to fill, but I feel like they pulled it off pretty well.
Yeah, they have done much more than just pull it off. Okay, next question. Could you walk through what a game day looks like for you and your family from wake up to departure, all the way to Athens and back home again?
Phew, okay. Our mornings typically start around 5 a.m. at the latest. If we're running behind schedule that night before our morning, they can easily start as early as 4, but typically 5 in the morning is when we get up and get ready. One of the first things that I work on is the remainder of the dishes and entrees and whatever else needs to be cooked. I throw it in the oven and work on getting ready during that time frame. And after I'm finished getting ready, we start packing everything to go in the van, grab the finishing dishes, and run out the door. And I mean run. We're always cutting it close to our departure time, which is at the latest 6:30. I hop in the passenger seat. My dad drives the van and my mom drives a separate vehicle for, convenience. We usually drive around like 8:30ish and start unpacking the van. Unpacking is way worse than loading the van just because my dad, Rick, is so not picky and anal on the setup. Everything has to be done a certain way. We unload all the food, TVs, tables, chairs, satellite dishes, alcohol, etc. It's truly worth it, but man, is it a lot of work. It usually takes about an hour to an hour and a half to unload everything and have everything set up and presentable for everyone to get there. Shortly after setup, guests start to arrive. We then tailgate for a couple hours, go into the game, and after the game, we come back to start the cleanup process. I basically just throw everything edible and open just in the trash, and everything else I pile up into the van. Usually we're in a hurry to get home because I think we're exhausted by this point. It only takes about an hour to get back on the road, but yeah, I think that basically sums up most of my game day.
Wow, that is a huge commitment and a long day. And no offense, but you lost me at 5 a.m. That takes a lot of commitment, let alone the drive there and back. The unloading and loading processes. No wonder you are always exhausted after the games.
I know, right? This tradition is not for the weak.
I'm lucky to have you and your parents. Okay, now share your favorite and least favorite things about this tradition.
My favorite has to be the experience with my friends and family. Nothing beats a night game, which is usually a full day of tailgating. Lots of eating, game watching, drinking, way too much, Least favorite, easy. It has to be the cleanup and setup process. It seems like it takes forever and I dread it. I wake up dreading it and walk out of the stadium dreading it. I seriously wish there was a way to avoid it. I would give all the money in the world.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I know you'll get a little help with setup before the game and take down at the university, but I'm sure once you get home back in Atlanta, I'm sure that it is terrible.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, last question. Is there anything else you want to share with the listeners and any other deets you feel that you need to include, ma'am?
Really just that As easy as a tailgate may seem, it's not. It takes a lot of preparation, funding, experience, all of it. But I wouldn't go without it for the world. I loved growing up in this environment and getting to experience the tradition with my family, such as this one. I'm so lucky to have my parents and to experience their work ethic, and I'm truly blessed.
You're right. Your parents really are the best. I hope I'm able to host a tailgate someday that is half as successful as this one. Thank you so much for joining me today.
No, yeah, of course, anytime.
I really did enjoy having you, and I'm sure listeners did too. Your family's tailgate is amazing, and I hope this podcast was able to capture that. But yeah, thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you next time. And go Dogs.
Oh yeah, go Dogs.